First of all, let me welcome today Tiger Tyagarajan. Is some of you know him, the ex-CEO of Genpact, and a very close and personal friend. And most of you know who he is, but a brief introduction might help. So Tiger is one of the founding fathers of the business process outsourcing industry. His journey started in retail with Unilever and banking, but it really blossomed when he joined GE to lead their commercial lending business. And after that, he actually founded their business process outsourcing arm. And then, and when spun off, he later on became the CEO of Genpact in 2011.
Yep.
When he joined, it was a $1 billion business. By the time you left, it was 5 times bigger.
No, so when I joined,
Yeah.
I was one of the people who started the company, so it was zero.
That's true. You went from zero to 5 billion.
When I became the CEO, it was $1 billion.
It was billion.
Yeah.
So 0 to 5 billion in how many years by the time you left?
CEO for 13 years, and then we started the business, 6 years as an independent company and 6 years within GE, so 25 years in all.
25 years in all.
Yeah, of which the first 7 years was inside GE.
Well, that's a little bit of pressure for me because now I have to get to 5 billion in that amount of time. Let's hope I get there.
You will get there faster.
But he stepped off Genpact, and I must tell you, I use him as a coach for how to plan your professional life after. He has been even more busy after he stepped off his Genpact. He's on the advisory board of BCG and Bain Capital, and currently covers 1 public board, 4 other private equity boards, and the thing that I still like the most about Tiger is he's still curious about even more things in life. So I thought it would be great to invite Tiger for this discussion because with all the changes happening to our industry with AI, this is the time for curiosity. And this is one of the most curious people I know. So before we jump right in, a personal question, Tiger, and you had this discussion before. So I know you love sports, and cricket especially is your passion, very physical. And I also know you have a passion for chess, very cerebral. But when I ask you about golf, which is a perfect combination of physical and cerebral, you don't like it. Why?
Oh, I can give you many reasons for that, but I'll start with, it's not for lack of trying. I tried playing, I spent money to get coached. I gave up in 2 classes out of 25, so basically it ended up being wasted money. I think fundamentally I find golf to be too slow, and I'm sure I'm going to upset a whole bunch of people.
Yeah, especially the American audience.
No, I think it's global audience. It's Indians, Koreans, Japanese, Eastern Europe, lots of people. But I find it slower than I'd like. I find it to be mass spectator engaging. So my passion for cricket is not because I play well, but because I just love the passion of 100,000 people in a stadium. Or I similarly love football. I'm talking about football, not American football. Because again, 100,000 people, Brazil versus Portugal, amazing game, right? Chess is more, going back many decades when I used to play. So that's one problem with golf. The second is it takes away time. That is, time is the most precious thing that all of us as humans have. And I just don't know how I can give up 5 hours every weekend in order to stay up to speed.
I got friends who can tell you how, but
yeah,
fair point.
No, because there are choices. I love running. I love, I travel so much. I've always traveled so much that obviously I need to take some time out to be with family. So you put all that together and I said, okay, I think golf is easy. I'm not going to do it.
Well, listen, there's one thing you can take away. You take your time very seriously.
I do.
And you do spend a lot of time in purposeful activities. So talking about purpose, we talked about your journey, 25 years, setting up the world's largest BPO company from 0 to 5 billion. That's quite a journey. And I was very curious, as you went through the journey, what are some of the pivotal moments you experienced, or maybe swing decisions you made? If you were to pick 2 or 3, what would those be?
You're talking personally or from a business perspective?
I think it would personal is more fun? Pick one or two personal and one
Yeah.
or two professional.
So the personal one is actually an interesting one where I remember when the company was getting ready to be spun off by GE, which took quite some time for us to convince GE to separate us into an independent company so we could serve a lot more global clients. I wasn't in the company at that time because since GE was not willing to allow us to serve other clients, I said, I'm moving on to other things. I moved into GE Commercial Finance and did a bunch of things here in the US. But I was so passionate about that business that I wanted to go back. And I remember when the company was getting ready to spun off, obviously everyone thought, okay, Tiger's going to come back. And I was very conflicted. So I picked up my phone, called up one of my mentors in GE Capital, and I said, I want to talk to you, Art Harper. And Art, spent time with me. And then after he heard basically I said, look, I'd love to go, but it's GE. I love GE. I don't want to go. So he said, okay, do you agree that there are one or two times in your life that you have to take a decision based on your heart? I said, yeah. And he said, you normally take decisions based on? I said, my brain. He said, yeah, I think that's the way you are. But once or twice in your life, you have taken a decision based on your heart. I said, yes. He said, what's the driver of this decision? What is your heart telling you? I said, my heart's telling me to go. He said, then that's it. Don't even think.
That's great advice.
And I thought that was really seminal advice. Yes. That's one example. The other one would be, I walk into, at that time, my boss's room in 2007, so we spun off in 2005, and we had a series of wins of large client relationships from 2005 to 2007, and then we listed on the New York Stock Exchange as a public company. I was the commercial leader of the business. So I walk into my boss's room and say, Pramod, we just won another deal. His reaction was, oh my God, holy S. And I said, what happened? He said, you're crazy. You just keep winning. I don't know how to deliver these. Right? We were growing at 55 or 60% a year.
Wow.
We were winning potentially more than we could handle, but we just found a way to navigate that. But I thought that was what a great. And I guess there are companies like that today, right?
There are companies like that today, and I still remember reading the newspapers where anything less than 30% growth was not as much, right? Which brings me to another question, which is, if you look at the services industry, the tech and the tech-enabled services industry, it's been a different story the last 2 years. I mean, we saw a big spike in the pandemic years, and I think this has been perhaps the most prolonged period of slow growth. What do you think is, I mean, it's not like this is the first time it's gone through this process. Are things very different now? Are there things very similar now? If you could just highlight, for many of us who are sort of experienced in this industry right now, what are the similarities, what are the differences, and if it's really different, do you think the future, what does the future look like?
Yeah, so it's a great question, and I think clearly there are similarities, which is why people compare it and take learnings from the past into the current. And one learning is these are cycles, therefore growth will come back. And the answer to that is, yeah, possibly, but this is different. There's one material difference between this change, and this applies to many things, but this change as compared to any other change as it applies to this industry, but as I said, it applies to many things in this change, which is the difference between winners and losers is going to be more sharp than I think the world has ever seen in any topic. An example would be, if in the past, even today, we know, enterprises, I know enterprises who are yet not on the cloud. They're still on that journey. And you tell them, what's the problem? You have got to get on the cloud. And they say, yeah, we'll get there. I don't want to be the first one or the second one. Obviously now they say, I don't want to be the 25th one. It's okay if I'm the 30th. And that's okay in all technology changes. Client server, mobile, cloud, you pick it. I think AI is different. I think saying that you don't want to be the first, okay, that's fine. But saying that you're going to sit back and watch and then jump in is dangerous. Because this is a world where if people who jump in gain more intelligence, and that makes them capable of gaining more intelligence, then the fact that they jumped in earlier allows them to jump in further and get more and more intelligent. And I'm talking about technologies, I'm talking about whatever they use, the business. If they use more AI, they're going to get more intelligent. Their competitor doesn't use AI, they're going to fall behind. They can't catch up. So the distinction between winners and losers is going to be stark, and that's going to happen in our industry, in the IT services, tech services, BPO services, data and analytical services, because those who embrace these new technologies are going to gain more. It'll look as though they're losing, because when you embrace these technologies, you have to cannibalize yourself. So I think the word cannibalization has to be well understood and embraced. If you're not willing to cannibalize yourself, you're in trouble. If you cannibalize yourself and you have the courage, then you will bring these technologies to do what you're doing for your clients, add more value. And those who don't will start losing, and will lose very quickly. So yes, I'm cannibalizing myself, but these other guys are losing, so I'm going to gain more share. So I have this view that every industry in the world is going to get divided into 50% of existing enterprises in that industry will win big time, and 50% will lose. That applies to our industry as well. The winners and the losers will get separated by courage, embracing the new, cannibalization of yourself, and pushing that agenda hard and not waiting.
So you framed it pretty starkly, right? The big difference you're saying between the world of the past and this time is it's a much more higher risk, higher return type of situation. You have to take more risks. That's a much better
way of framing it, correct.
Right? And I framed it in risk return terms because you're sort of now on two sides of that coin. You're with a private equity firm, which is in the in the business of making investments, and then you've also been an operator, and you know how they think. Do you see a difference in this world between how investors are looking at the risk return profile and how operators are? Do you feel like operators are ready for that high risk, high return? And are investors even ready for that?
So again, Ranjit, the good news, bad news is that there's no such thing as operators are ready or not ready. It's half the operators are ready and the other half are not. Investors. So if I was an investor, and I'm not an investor, but I obviously work with private equity and venture capital firms, the one lens that smart investors are bringing to the table is understanding, is this a forward-leaning operating founder or not? And if they are forward-leaning, then they are willing to invest more. If they are not, actually, they should shrink away, because you start realizing that actually these people will lose. They look like they are okay today, but they will lose because they're not forward-leaning.
And rapidly.
Yeah. So and rapidly, within the time horizon of the investment, the horizon that they have. So one of the big tests that I think smart investors are going through is, I want to spend time with the team, first understanding whether the business has a bigger moat to AI attack or not. I think it'll be fair to conclude some have a very small moat and will get attacked immediately. Some have a larger moat, but at the end of the day, they're all going to get attacked. So I think that's a good thing to look at, but not good enough. The second thing you look at is, are these people of the kind of thinking they have is, we will embrace, cannibalize, and we're doing a bunch of things to do that. Do they have the vision and the thinking around it? Do they have the hunger and the capability and the guts to do it? And are they beginning to take the steps to do it? I don't think it's necessary to say these guys have got it all. First of all, such companies don't exist. And two, their valuations are so crazy that, forget it. It's actually great to get a team that is actually extremely forward-leaning, want to embrace and drive change, and disrupt the way they deliver their own services in order to capture more share. And they're trying desperately to build those capabilities. And they want an investor who's going to help them on that journey. And the services they provide are capable of actually absorbing all that AI and creating value. That's a good fact pattern to have. And that's an investment that I would put money behind. On the other hand, great business, superb cash flows, great returns, but not forward-leaning. Actually, the reaction in conversations is, hey, AI is not going to hurt us much right now. Really? Yeah, it won't.
You hear those conversations?
Oh, yeah, of course.
I see.
Half the time.
Interesting.
Which is why I have this easy metric of half and half. Half will thrive and half will die.
It's interesting. Interesting. Well, in the world I live in, that's hard to imagine. But
No, think about retail.
it's true.
Right? The only difference between the past, it's happened before, between the past and today is it's going to happen much faster. If you think about retail in the US, there's Walmart today. There was a time when it was Walmart and Kmart and Sears and all kinds of people. Many of them are gone. Many of them went away, some years back. Many of them went away recently, and some of them on the verge of going. Walmart has thrived. They all got attacked by the same e-commerce attack, by the same competitor in Amazon. Walmart found a way to navigate it. And how did they find a way to navigate it? By embracing the e-commerce world. I think, I'm sure it's there in the public domain, because I've read it, of leaders in Walmart saying, this may prevent or this may reduce the footfalls in my store because they can now shop online on walmart.com. Yeah, it's okay. That's cannibalization. Why is it okay? Because I think over time, actually the two together will thrive. And that's exactly what's happened. Today you can shop online and then go pick up in the store. You can go to the store, check everything out and say, I got it, I want to order. And actually you have someone who comes and says, place the order on walmart.com here, or I can help you.
That is, so you make me think that the mindset of a winner remains the same because you're ready to adapt to the environment. The technology is just a trigger that you have to adapt to. So in this world...
But there's one difference, Ranjit, which I think is probably the most fundamental difference in this change, and we already touched it, but that adaptation, I actually connect a lot of things to evolution, and adaptation is obviously deeply connected to evolution, but there's one problem in this evolution, which is it's too fast.
Yes.
Right? All other changes, I as a parent could actually say, wow, truck drivers are not going to be needed. I'm a truck driver. My son and daughter are not going to get into the truck driving profession. They'll get into some other profession. And I make sure that happens. In today's world, the change may happen so quickly that forget my kids. I have to decide what the hell I'm going to do. Because my job is under risk. And I'm still 45 maybe. I'm not, but...
Yes, okay, we'll say it's 45. No worries. So this is fascinating. So if you were to look at the winners that are today, okay, here's the thing that I have a challenge with in the industry. Everybody wants to project themselves as the winner.
Yeah.
Yes? Some are really doing something and some are not. So I'll just give you some examples. Let's just take the big tech companies, right? They're doing very well, but there's a lot of talk in the market about how AI is transforming Meta, IBM, all of these companies. And there's been a lot of layoffs in these companies, and it is attributed to them adopting AI, right? How much of that is hype and how much of that is real change? I agree that it's going to happen, it's happening rapidly, but is what I read in the news today projecting a future that is simply linked to something else?
Yeah. So I think firstly, when you have, and I don't know what's the headcount of these enterprises, but let's say it's 30,000, 50,000, etc. And some of them in our industry are 200,000, 500,000, 800,000.
Accenture is 800.
Yeah. So is TCS, right?
Is
probably
that right?
even more. Yeah.
Okay.
So when you have that kind of headcount, even regular, attrition, restructuring, changing businesses, getting out of, AR, VR, or autonomous cars and vehicles into something else, reducing investment in metaverse and going to something else will require, changing people. The numbers sometimes that I hear, they're okay as a percentage of the total population. So one part of me says this is natural. The other reason why it's natural is because when you went through the pandemic, where I think it was pretty clear that hiring was happening at a pace that could not sustain itself forever.
Sure.
Revert back to the mean is something that the world has gone through in every topic. I mean, there's no such thing as forever.
Yes.
Right? Maybe there is, I don't know, but there could be. But
AI being one.
yeah, maybe.
We will not revert to the mean.
And that is the problem,
Yes.
because it could become super intelligent.
Yeah.
But the reversion to the mean meant that it was going to pull back. That pullback coincided with an opportunity to use some of these technologies to drive more replacement of labor with machines. And then you also have technology shifts that create more new opportunities that then lead to companies saying, actually that one is better than what I had. So I'm going to shut down what I started and I'm going to do these new things. These companies are rich enough to actually make that change happen. It has a cost attached to it, but it's fine. In the process, they can actually take some of these people and reskill them to this. That takes too long, and time is of the essence here. So then they say, okay, why don't we let go of these people and get some new people? And they say, actually, we can create a story out of this. I'm not saying that's what's happened.
I know. This is a possibility.
But if I was the CEO of one of those companies, I would do it.
Yes.
I would just say, we are embracing AI.
Yes. Yeah.
And one of the reasons they want to do that is because they want others to hear and come to them and say, I want to buy more of your technology.
Yes.
Because these same people are selling those technologies. So
it is not a complete obfuscation, but it is a convenient use of facts.
yeah, which is what marketing is, right?
Fair point. I have similar views on many of these things. So here's my observation, Tiger. I agree with you that those who don't experiment and dabble and learn will not be able to catch up because of the speed.
Yeah.
And I agree with that. And what I'm observing is there's a lot of experimentation and dabbling happening. The word I hear in my profession is POC.
Yeah.
Proof of concept.
Correct.
Here's the challenge I'm finding. A proof of concept is easy, right? You spend a little money, you get two smart people in a room, and they produce something.
Yeah. And you have a massive scaffolding around it. So it can't fail.
You can't fail, right? I am, at least my industry is becoming, how should I call it? We are not able to scale beyond the POC. What would be your sort of guidance to enterprises who do want to win, who do want to adapt, but haven't figured out how to go beyond the POC?
So I think there's a, and I think the world is, a lot of enterprises are beginning to understand this. I think you have to distinguish between, I want lots of flowers to bloom. I want my entire workforce of 100,000 people to get excited about AI. I want them to play with it, dabble with it, learn how to use it, so that when the time comes for them to use something in the production environment, they're ready, they're capable, they're excited, versus scared and resist. So I want a culture change to happen. So I have a bottoms up. These technologies are available, play with it, use it, build your own use cases. All I need to do is I need to provide them the avenue, the sandboxes, and the technologies to play with. And then I need guardrails of governance so that the data doesn't go out and privacy is maintained and all of that. Other than that, let 1,000 flowers bloom. But that's not going to change the company other than culture, which in the long run is very important, so you have to do it. The use of AI to change the direction of the company it comes from the top. And the top has to come from, what's the strategy of your business? What is the competitive landscape? What are the bases of your winning today and tomorrow? What is your differentiation today, and how is that going to change tomorrow? So as an example, if you're in the business of, let's say you're in the media business. I've spent peripheral time around it, and lots of companies who I've dealt with, you have been a little bit inside those types of businesses. A media business that actually knows what content is being consumed, what are their demographics, who are the people, who buys again and again, who subscribes again and again, what ads do they click. I mean, we can go on and on, right? That is a lot of data, and that data is completely proprietary because no one else has that data, right? If I'm buying the Wall Street Journal and I'm subscribing to it, the chances are 80% of the time I'm not reading any other competitive newspaper to Wall Street Journal. So only Wall Street Journal has data about me on how I consume financial news. No one else has it. That to me is incredible power in the future, It was always power, but the power of the future is multiplied 1,000,000 times because technology is not going to be the winning move. Everyone will have the same technology. Cost of that technology is not going to be the winning move. In fact, in the old days, the bigger you are, the lower your cost. Actually, that's not true anymore. Cloud, etc., has made cost really bite-sized, the same for everyone. Culture and proprietary data. So strategy to use proprietary data. So one recommendation I would have is, can you step back and think about what is the proprietary data you have that actually no one else has? And the answer might be, I always thought I had this data, but I'm unable to access it. Okay, then let's find a way to access it. Guess what? If you don't access it, then it's tragedy, because today you can use it. Earlier, if you could access it, use was limited. Today you could actually use it, and you could use it real time for all kinds of, sales growth, pricing growth, etc. So start from the top. Pick only one or two things, connect it to strategy. Figure out the outcomes you want, and please do not pick cost and labor replacement as an outcome you want. You will get it. You don't need to want it. You will get it in any case.
You preempted my next question. Very smart of you. I was going to say, if there's one place where I've seen, I'm looking at the use of AI use cases.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry to say, Tiger, at least in the profession I'm in, I see most of the time AI is used to reduce IT costs, not create new products. In fact, my observation has been that AI to create new products
is huge.
Is huge. But I'm not seeing enough of that high risk, high return mentality.
I don't see enough of it as well. In my various advisory roles, I had an opportunity to look at what people are doing. However, the smart ones are doing it. So when you have a company whose R&D department does material discovery for, let's say, stronger material that will go into space, or a material that will go into a bridge that doesn't rust for 40 years instead of 15 years in the most salty sea breeze climate. And these are real good, strong use cases. The material discovery world, similar to molecule discovery world, requires an R&D department with a cost and 1,000 people in an R&D center that actually experiments with various combinations of molecules. And the precursor to that is science, that scientists think about, I think it's worth combining this molecule with this molecule under these conditions, and let's try it. So they start with a set of hypotheses, then they conduct a set of experiments against those hypotheses. Maybe they conduct 100 experiments a year. And they come up with 2 potential solutions, which they test in a POC environment, and hopefully one of them gets into. So it takes about 2 years. They've started with 1,000, ended with 100, then 2, and then 1 goes into commercial. Bring in AI. AI, take it even further upstream, doesn't start with 1,000. It starts with 100 million. I'm not talking about a multiplier of double or triple. It's 100 million. Why? Because AI actually trolls through all molecule combinations, and based on various patterns, it actually says these 500, not 1,000, are worth digging into.
Interesting.
And then the human comes in, digs into 500, not 1,000, but uses AI to go from 500 to the 2 much faster, and goes from the 2 to the 1 with much more guaranteed success. Maybe the 2 don't belong to the original 1,000 in the old world. It actually belongs to the other 100 million minus 1,000. So you actually discovering things that you never would have discovered, because your aperture of innovation
has
and by the way, the cycle time on this is now 80% smaller.
Yes.
So people think about cost. So you can take the 1,000 people and make them 500 people. That's a really stupid journey. You can make 1,000 people now experiment with 100 million as the aperture versus the. Think about in our business, if we had 1,000 opportunities to go after versus 100 million, I would pick the 100 million. If I have a clever way to get to the 200, I should go after fast.
Yes. You also gave the word human in the loop, a very interesting framing with your aperture expansion analogy, which is there are some activities where the human was never in the loop because the human didn't have time to do them.
Exactly.
So you never went through the million molecular combinations.
No, I'll actually give you a similar example, but in the most mundane world, which is if you go to a procurement organization that buys things for a company, and you ask them, so do you know how many pencils we buy in the company? And the answer is no, I don't. How many pens? No. Do you know who we buy it from? No. Do you know what price we pay? No. The answer is no, 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 no. Obviously, because it's stupid of them to spend time on that.
Yes.
The machine will spend time on it.
Yes.
The machine can look at even $1 you spend and actually make it more efficient and save 10 cents on the dollar for 30% of what the company buys. Typically, by the way, 30 to 40% of what any company buys, no one looks at in the pre-machine world. And if a machine looks at it, it can save 30% without a human looking at it. So that doesn't replace anything. It actually increases the aperture of what you look at. Insurance claims. Why would an insurance company look at a $50 claim that you've sent in? Just goes through, pay. Now they will. No human looks at it.
Yes.
Looks at Tiger sent a $50 claim. Based on all these parameters, yeah, this is worth approving. Go. No, this makes no sense. It actually should be $35. So I'm sorry, Tiger, I'm going to approve $35. That's what you get paid. And I look at it and I see the reasons. Actually, it makes sense. Otherwise, they would have paid me 50.
I'm just thinking about how do I apply it to my business model, and I'll shift to operating model changes. I was literally this morning having a discussion with our pre-sales leader, and his job and his team's job is to create proposals and solutions to help us sell. Now, building those proposals and solutions takes time. So the capacity he has on his team is a natural bottleneck to how many proposals.
Correct.
Now, what you're saying is, and I hope you're listening, my friend, we can generate lots and lots of proposals and actually increase our revenue speed and acceleration of the pipeline if we are able to apply that
100%
to
agree.
our operating models.
By the way, that's I mean, I came from the same world, so I actually completely understand what you're saying. One of the biggest challenges in companies like ours is do not waste time running after something that you have a much lower probability of winning, that actually you'll regret it if you won it.
Yes. Well, that's my biggest concern, the one that I didn't want to win.
But now, I was in a position where the brand name was not as well known.
Yes.
One of the advantages of going after more things is that your brand name will get known even if you don't win.
Mindshare.
Now, the only danger is if you keep losing, then is your brand name associated with lots of losses? As long as you lose for the right things,
Yes.
and you learn,
Yes.
you become a learning engine on proposal responses.
Yes.
The only way you learn is by doing more and experimenting more. So actually, I love the idea.
I think, just exploring more ideas. This is wonderful. I have to, this could go on forever, but I wanted to ask you another question, and I hope I can bring this discussion, which can expand from even this one question to an end. All of this, right, if you start from the beginning, AI is a type of change where you don't have the right to ignore. You have to jump, experiment.
Individually and as a business.
As a business. If you do experiment, experimentation for the sake of experimentation is necessary but not sufficient, or only helps the culture. But you do need strategic intent to create proprietary advantage through your products, not your back office IT costs or ops costs. So I think that point is, here's the third challenge I see, right, which is leadership, right? You've been through this, you've been in a public company, Tiger, and maybe you could guide us through this. There is a run the business demand on you and a change the business demand on you. When you're talking about these kinds of high risk, high return moves, cannibalization is counter to running the business, and changing requires cannibalization. So how do you, as a leader, find the right model or governance to run and change the business at the same time? Because you got the same people on both.
It's, by the way, a great question. And I'll start with maybe the question you're not asking, which is a precursor to the question you're asking, which is you asked how do you do those kind of two different things, and you know, how do you make them coexist? I'll start by saying some people think two kinds of opposite things should not coexist. And I have a pretty clear view that a leader's job is to make contradictory things coexist with each other. As the business leader of a lending business, your job is to do more lending and take less risk, reduce risk. By the way, if your job was only to reduce risk,
it's easy.
Just don't lend.
Yes.
That's it, right? And vice versa. If your job was only to grow, just keep growing. Who cares about risk? So it's...
I can drop my price and grow infinitely.
Yeah, correct. Short term versus long term is another balance that every leader has to balance. There are lots of things you can do that give you a short term benefit, but is that going to help you in the long term, and how do you balance that? Investment horizons. Lots of things are always a balance, and how do you draw that balance? And it's not a one-time balance, it's a continuous balance. It's like riding a bike, continuous balance. In this one, I think it's a continuous balance. And here's the way to think about it. If you're running the business, you have a better right and a better reason to be successful when you embrace AI than if you're the brightest kid on the block with the best technology on earth that has the best model but is searching for data and domain and understanding of the business, which you have. So, I mean, there are thousands of startups that have apparently amazing solutions that are crying for, data and domain and being able to experiment. Forget about production. I'm even talking about experimenting because they don't have that. Companies that are running stuff have that. Once you have that, if you don't experiment, you're going to die in any case. So you should experiment. You should continuously change, but you should continuously run. One of the challenges that I don't think people have fully understood in AI-driven world is that it's not static. An AI-driven world that is running based on models in a fast-changing world, if the models don't change as fast, then the model will give you a systematically bad answer, which means guaranteed failure. If I was in a world of humans, at least I have some chance of winning and some chance of losing. In an AI-driven world driven by a model that systematically fails because the model is built on old data and not continuously changing new data, that gets therefore continuously intelligent. So those who can run and change are actually going to win. Those who are only change and only new, but they don't have any run, I think are going to run into trouble, which is why you're seeing some interesting combinations. The Capgemini WNS combination. Wow, that's interesting. If the belief is, I know how to change and you know how to run, I need that for me to be successful. By the way, you need me. That potentially could create value. I don't know. That may have been the thinking.
I think you hit it on the head. I mean, one of the demands of leadership is, when I was growing up through the years, I remember this article saying there are different leaders for different situations. There are innovation leaders and maintenance leaders,
right.
And you need these two for different situations in the lives of an organization. But I think in today's world, you need both those qualities in the same person, and that's the bar on leadership. In some ways, it has increased the bar on leadership.
Oh, 100%. You need adaptability as the core muscle. You need someone who's actually delighted to constantly change. You need someone who has the humility to say, I told you we should go north until yesterday, and I thought I was right. And thank you for following me. I'm sorry. We decided it's better to go south. Yes. Because the new information we have and the new signals we have and the new AI model prediction tells us we should go south. If everyone in the team says, let's go south, and immediately starts going south, you're going to win.
Yes.
And you're going to win because you picked up the signal, so that's a reason for winning. You had the AI capability to say, the signal is telling me to go instead of north-south, so that's the AI capability. And 3, you have built agility in the team to actually change. And you have a culture that says, I don't care if all of us believed in the north, today we believe in the south. There's no ownership of belief, it's adaptability.
I think it's one of the big challenges of today. And I can tell you that my beliefs get challenged every day as I meet different clients and I read different things. But the one thing is for sure, I thought this was a wonderful discussion, and I wanted to thank you, Tiger, for the time.
Thank you.
I know you live in Lisbon, and you've come all the way here in New York to do this, and I really appreciate it.
But with a view like this, if there's a job in the company, I'll come to work for you.
You always have a job in my life, Tiger. Thank you.
Thank you for inviting me.